Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Today is August 14th, 2023. We are at the Brownsville Public Utility Board Annex Building. It's a 5 o'clock meeting. This meeting is being called to order. We have a confirmation on quorum.
Yes, we do.
We have a quorum. At this time, we're going to stand for our Pledge of Allegiance and for the U.S. flag and for the Texas flag. I hope we have the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Texas out of the way. At this time, we'd like to recognize a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Marilyn, we're moving on to consent item ahead of the public comments. Is that correct?
So, Mr. Chair, at this time, we've actually now aligned the comments after the individual items for general manager's report. So that's where public comments is. And so the amended agenda shows that. So right now, we're motion to approve consent and from the board at this time.
And just consent items for all the board members. These are items that the chair and the vice chair normally will work with the executive team as the agenda is being prepared. But of course, if there are any questions about any of the consent items, now would be a good time to raise those questions. If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve the consent items.
Question.
Okay. Which,
Item number 5.
item number 5?
Can we get an explanation of that?
We can go ahead and move it from consent and discuss it individually. And so that way, if there's a motion without item number 5.
That the, we'll pull out item number 5, Marilyn.
Do we have to make a motion to do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I move.
Make a
to-
motion in a second.
I move to pull out item number 5 and talk that.
So we have a motion to, by Dr. Holman to move out item number 5. Do we have a second?
Second.
That's second. So item number 5. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. All those against? Item passes. So we'll entertain that item with the
Individual items.
individual items. So the rest of the items, we have a motion to pass those items under consent.
So moved.
We have a motion, second.
I second that.
We have a second by Mr. Alejandro. Motion
I'm
passes.
going to recuse myself from voting on item number 3, which is the BML renewal.
All right, Dr. Joseph has recused himself on that item. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. At this time, we're moving on to public comments.
I think first the manager.
Is the manager's, the manager's report, Ms. Gilbert?
Yes, thank you so much. And so now we're in the general manager's report and on there, we have the board calendar. On the board calendar, we have the monthly scheduled meetings that are noted on there. The only other event that is also noted is outside of the normal schedule is we're meeting with the Army Corps of Engineer of August 23, which 2 board members are scheduled to attend. We also note on the calendar that we have September 4th as a PUB holiday. The PUB offices will be closed. And so then everything else is scheduled again. We have our next scheduled regular PUB board meeting the same day as the SRWA board meeting on September the 11th. Any questions on calendar?
No questions on the board calendar?
I do have a quick general question. I forgot to ask at the beginning of this. Are we streaming? We are. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
So moving on to the next item under the general manager, we have changed a little bit of the protocol on here. We're going to go ahead and try something new for the various sharings of the screens. And so you'll have on the agendas on there, so bear with us on there. So with that, we'll move on to the next item, which is item number 2, the financial performance report.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Monica Cavazos, Director of Finance. We'll be looking at the year-to-date financials as of June 30th, 2023, and we'll be focusing on the far right column, the year-to-date numbers. You see that we had total operating revenues of $167,082,305. From this, we back out our total operating expenses of $139,338,790, leaving us operating income of $27,743,515. We then back out our net non-operating expenses, which was a negative $44,563,692, which left us in before capital negative $16,820,177. We then add the capital contributions of $3,845,943, gives us a change in net position of minus $12,974,234. When added to the net position at the beginning of the year of $445,310,943, gives us a net position at the end of the period of $432,336,709. Moving on to the next statement, the flow of funds, I'll direct you to line 20, and we see that we generated sufficient revenues to cover our balances or transfers out. So we have a balance available for transfers out of $20,369,164. This covered our operating subaccount for the fuel adjustments of $2,136,244. Our improvement fund for capital improvement project funding of $6,681,311. Improvement fund for Resaca CIP funding from the Resaca fee of $269,842 for total transfers of $9,087,397, which left us improvement fund surplus year to date through the end of June of $11,281,767. Are there any questions on the year to date financials?
No questions for the board members. We'll move on to the next one. Monica?
Next item I'll be presenting is the year-to-date engineering fees. We see that we had a budget of $3,205,000. I'm sorry, excuse me. $3,205,714. Our year-to-date spending as of the end of June is $1,979,716, which gave a total of $1,225,998 as of the end of June. Any questions on the engineering fees? Moving on, the next item is the legal fees. You see that we had against an annual budget of $1,860,474. We have year-to-date spending through June of $746,696, giving us a budget balance available of $1,113,778. Any questions on the legal fees?
No questions on engineering or legal fees? We'll move on, Monica, to the next one.
And my last presentation is on the capital contributions to the city of Brownsville. Capital contributions from the city of Brownsville. We have our 5-year history at the top. The middle part of the report shows the 2023 year to date. We billed them and $193,000, $109,000 approximately. They've paid us for the ARPA projects $2,175,000. We currently have an outstanding balance with them of $18,108.73. And the bottom portion of this report shows the 5-year history as well of the city's transfers. It shows their gross transfer, their COB usage by utility, the cash transfer to them from each of our 3 utilities, and the total transfer. So the total gross transfer year to date of $770,577. Their usage of $4,516,148 and their cash transfer of $7,254,429. Any questions on this report?
Any questions for the board?
So just checking, with the water main strikes that have been happening, have we squared all that away with the city?
BTS?
BPX stuff? No. So we have some outstanding.
Yes.
That's all being
No,
squared.
right now, we're still working with us, with the city of Brownsville. We haven't, my understanding is we haven't had any invoices, and I'm going to divert it out, to finance. There has been none of it is there. And so all of the various different things is going through the accounting process and the cost of being allocated, the water that was spilled and all of the various different, so none of it is there.
And that strike I mentioned yesterday, was that just a bad valve or was that an accident?
My understanding, that was not BTX related.
That was not BPX related, that was just
Yeah.
water.
Cool. And Marilyn, I know we talked about this before, as these interruptions or strikes occur, they're being documented, they're being assessed for the damage and value. Ultimately, who's the responsible party?
According to the agreements is a PB will be made whole.
Okay. All right, the next item, Mr. Eddie Hernandez, introduction of a new bill format.
Chairman, members of the board. This is something we've been working on for about 2 or 3 years now. I'd start out for the reasons, the drivers for a new bill. One, our Kayenta, which is our customer service and billing system, switched from Actuate reporting to Cognos reporting and no longer supports Actuate. So since the bill is a report and we're being forced, we were going to be forced to move that over anyway. We just took the opportunity to migrate all of our reports from finance, billing, and collections and other departments and consolidate on Cognos as one report writer. So instead of having 3 or 4 different ones, we now have one. While we were doing that, we took the opportunity to update the bill. Also, it's time to upgrade the servers. And specifically, the bill itself, in its current format that you get every year, it's basically the same bill that was constructed back in 2002. That's our original format. So this gave us the opportunity to go in and kind of take a look at things. As part of the review process in redesigning the customer bill, BPUB gathered a great deal of input from various stakeholders, internal as well as external. Each group had feedback that was used to reach the current design that we're going to present. A bill redesign committee from a number of different impacted departments, including customer service, billing, communications, and PR, was formed to tackle the project. The bill redesign was sent out to the following representatives for feedback: PUB departments, customer service, billing, communications, public relations, digital information platforms, and key accounts. We also sent it out to selectors with a focus on solar customers, PubCap members, On Public, which was our communications contractor at the time, and BPUB executive management. So it did go through a very lengthy review process, and we did have panels of customers that took a look at the new bill to make suggestions for the new bill inside. Oops. But one of the things that it has been a lengthy process, and some of the things that delayed was COVID. For PUB staff and Kayenta staff, there was a significant impact. Moving to the new platform of report writing was a major lift, and the redesigning of the bills, going through all the different panels, took a while. In conclusion, we think we have a good product which addresses some new needs, such as renewable energy. The implementation of the new bill needs to occur in order to be able to move to the new servers and software. Once we do move to the Cognos product, the process to construct the new bill should be easier. Going through the complete process with panels and everything would probably take about a year. If there was a specific item that needed to be changed or addressed, we could, depending on the complexity, we could probably do that within a month or two, just because we do have to do testing on whatever we put out.
What do you mean by renewable energy?
I'm sorry,
What do you mean by renewable energy?
renewable energy like solar, wind. We do account for them on the bill. However, it's not as clear as we would like it. If you're a customer, if you have solar panels, for example, doing the credits, it's not quite that clear. All the calculations are correct, but it's not clear because in 2002, there wasn't much solar. So we focused, that was one of the big items that we focused on to clarify, so you can walk straight through it and see exactly what your credit, how much you used, how much you sold back to PUB, what your credit is.
Thank you.
Do we have any wind generation here?
I don't think we do.
Okay.
We used to have one or two, but I don't think we do any. I'd have to go back and verify.
Just because it's the rate system.
And here are samples of the bill. Here's what the new residential bill will look like. We kept the top portion here that you read across the top. This is the, page one is always the summary. So you'll get your basic electric, water, wastewater, city fees, garbage and city fees. And then this was added to the front page, which is just the total of the 13 month, it shows the 13 months. So you can compare this month with this month last year and your current, your consumption throughout the year. And then here is all the information. Customers did want all the contact information up front on page one. So if I have a question, I know who to call. If it's a billing question, if it's for outages, if it's for garbage, all the contact information is up front on the first bill.
Aren't there some items that go to the city? Like, is this already noted here?
Here is where we show city fees. If you can see my cursor.
So for contact,
I'm sorry.
for in the contact,
I
like
think
in the
it's
phone
on,
number.
it's on that detail page. We'll get to that. And this is the back of, this is page two, but it's actually the back of page one. This is where we put our, just any informational messages that we want to send out. Page two, this is getting into the detail. Here's your electric service. So this is where it breaks down the reads, your previous, your current, your consumption, your metering information, again, your history. And then this is where here's the detail of how that line item breaks out specifically. Energy consumption, fixed costs, customer service charge, fuel and energy, sales tax, et cetera. And then we have some definitions down here in case they're trying to define the terms that weren't common to the public. On the water side and wastewater side, same thing. Here's your meter, your reads. Here's where we break down the different fees and consumption. And there's your consumption history. And then here at the bottom, you can see the city of Brownsville fees. And this is what you were asking. Here's where the city of Brownsville 546 help number is and the GMS garbage information is. And then here's a breakdown of the different city fees.
So there seems to be a lot of confusion with city, what we're collecting for the city and basically just passing through versus, what we collect. We don't run a garbage service. We saw actually, what was it, a week ago, where there was some confusion about, a customer wanted to cancel their garbage, got mad because PUB wouldn't do it. Is there any way we could even change the color of the background or something, just so it becomes clear what money, just a thought, what money goes to PUB and what money, PUB is really just collecting for the city?
That's part of what we're trying to delineate in this section here, where it's the city of Brownsville fees. We can look at any suggestion and we can address that with. My ultimate suggestion is going to be that we need to move to the new format.
Don't.
And then if we want to change anything, we can yes, we can take a look at that. However y'all would like to, different color or highlighting.
Or maybe a little asterisk saying, hey, this is what we collect for Browns
Mhm.
or something, just to make it a bigger. And it would be interesting to see, to see what the customers identified as, PV fees and City of Brownsville fees. I don't know. I'm sure you didn't ask that exact question, but anyways, yeah, it doesn't have to be changed now, obviously, but something to consider.
And, but to go to your point directly, here's where we specifically show
Yeah.
all the garbage, the different garbage services, the maintenance fee, the federal unfunded mandate, et cetera. And then here's what the new solar bill, this is a residential bill. This is what that would look like. It's very similar. Again, the front page is going to look at pretty much exactly the same. Where you're going to see the difference is on page 3. This is the back of page 1, page 2. This is page 3. Again, you have your metering information. As you notice, it's a little busier over here because you have multiple meters. Because we measure the consumption that you used from your solar panels, which is where your big savings is, energy that you're not buying from us. You produced your own energy, right? So we monitor that. And then we also monitor the energy that we bought from you. So that's why you're going to see multiple meters over here. And you'll walk through it. Again, the electric customer service charge, the energy consumption at the different tiers. And then here's the credit, the renewable energy. So in this case, this person would have received a payback from PUB of $22.90. And so everything flows through the bill, A plus B equals C. And that's one of the big changes that we made. And then we break down renewable here. This is going to show what you produced, what you used from your side. That way you can track it. For your purposes, we're sharing that information with the customer. And again, the electricity consumption and the definitions. Same on the water side. The water side is going to look exactly like the previous bill that I showed you. Nothing new there. And then again, the City of Brownsville portion. And the commercial bill, it'll look similar. Again, summary on the front page, consumption history, all the contact information. This is the bill stub, messages on the back, and then we get to the detail. And here's where you break down electric. Obviously, a lot of commercial customers will have a much more detailed breakdown on their consumption in kilowatts. And one thing I did forget to mention is this is new, this bar under, we had the graph before, though it was small and on the side. If you look at your current bill, it's kind of on the left-hand side, it's kind of small. So we did make it bigger because customers like that. But the other thing that we did add is this bar underneath it that shows the actual consumption. So instead of just looking at bar chart and not knowing, okay, what's behind that, the actual consumption's behind that from now on. Same thing on water. Any questions?
And you removed the neighborhood average?
I'm sorry?
The neighborhood average is now removed?
I think we had it. Oops.
Now it's just the same household's average over a year?
We did, if I remember correctly, we did remove the neighborhood average. Let's see what this, the dotted line, average monthly consumption. Current month. And the neighborhood average was a bit misleading because it's not your neighborhood. It
Right.
was a large section of town. So it might, like if you're in Rio Viejo, it's all of old downtown area. It's not just those 3 or 4 streets that make up that neighborhood. So I think one of the reasons we took it out was because it was a bit misleading. And we thought it was, well, the customers felt that it was more important kind of information here where you have your actual average. These are your readings or the history so that you can compare one to the other.
Is it, I mean, again, I don't think we want to make changes now. Your intent is for you to move forward with this, but is it possible to get an actual neighborhood average?
It would take some work, but we could do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, I mean, we can revisit this in the future, but I think that's a value.
Absolutely.
Somebody, might be able to identify some problems, they may be having with like their air conditions or so on, by looking at that.
Exactly. Yeah, I use it for that. I find it very useful.
Okay.
And, once we go to AMI, which I don't think we've had a report on it for a while, so, asterisks there. But once we go to AMI, that should be a lot easier than to.
Absolutely.
Eddie, just a couple of questions or comments. On going back to where there's we're collecting for GMS for the containers. Does it specify how many containers a client or customer has?
I don't think, it doesn't specify, it's just the total. The total.
Because I've received a lot of calls where some have been overbilled because they're being billed for 2 containers and they've only had 1. Then it's a process to reverse that. Some of the commercial people have called me about the container that they have. I know it's not PUB, but GMS is sending them a container, it's oversized. And of course, this is all being calculated by the size of that container. We don't collaborate with GMS on those matters, do we?
No, we don't. We have no control over that. We do provide information and we do provide their contact information. What happens is GMS will give us the amount that we need to bill and we bill that. We don't calculate, if I remember correctly. We don't calculate. Now, they may take a container and they may charge you for 1 or 2, or if you're in a strip center, they may say, well, I'm going to charge you for a quarter, you for a quarter, the 4 of you for $25.
Well, there's small businesses that have called me that they have a large container there and they don't produce that type of waste. They need to contact GMS
Correct.
to address that.
See,
The other,
there's that confusion I was mentioning. There's that confusion I was mentioning, but yeah.
and then the containers, some residential folks have asked for 2 containers. And they're getting billed for 2. Some have 1, they're being billed for 2. But I noticed y'all really don't, the amount of containers is not specified here.
Correct.
Excuse me, Mr. Rendon. It is actually specified.
Is it?
If you go to the one with the solar, it does show in there, there's go to the other one, the other residential. I don't know why this one doesn't. But the other one does.
That's good information, Mike.
Garbage.
I can defend myself. It's there.
It's there. It says that, city garbage additional can 856. One of those.
Oh, okay, that may be because it's a separate fee, but like.
Right, for the additional can.
For the additional section.
I do have an extra additional can at my residence and it does show in the bill. So that's why I did remember that.
I think that's an important element that we need to address on this. So folks will know if they're paying for 1 or they're paying for 2.
Mr. Chair, is this the first time that the board sees this new bill proposal?
It is the first time. Perhaps we should have addressed this in the committee, but
Well, it just seems a little premature to want to approve it today. If it's, it sounds like there are some items changed.
I agree. I mean, Marilyn, is this item up for, this is just a
This item
presentation?
is a general manager's report to notify what it is. My understanding from staff is this even predates before I even started at the utility over a year ago, that this went, if you go back through your presentation, there were several stakeholder meetings and maybe not the members that were on this board, but maybe other members may have seen. One of the things when discussed this morning with staff, I mentioned to them that yes, items like these should be gone back to the program committee at this time, which we should be up and going on some of these questions on here.
Is our timetable right now to push it?
So the timetable here has to do with the intent is that there are some things that we need to address, but we cannot discuss publicly why we need to change all of these here.
So we're going to have this rollout without board approval because it's not necessary. But then I think the idea that we should change some, make some changes. Tweak, exactly. That's good. And, these are some great changes, but we have a couple more thoughts that we'll probably want to add.
I do agree that, right now the rollout would be with the intent of coming back to this board and we can take it to the program committee. Let's go ahead and address it. We need to change platforms of the existing. And so we have systems that need to communicate properly with each other that are not. And it's going to help us to improve customer service and provide more visibility to some of the customers. So the intent here is to move with the rollout with the intent to get feedback, and then we'll come back and say, these are the changes we can, this is the additional cost. And all of this is being programmed with external consultants. And so this is something that was done Can you tell me how long ago this was done?
I want to say the whole process started about 3 years ago.
All right, Mayor, let's go on the record that, I mean, obviously, we did move forward with this, but let's bring it back for a review very quickly so that we have some concerns that we can point out to administration.
Time, if any board member has any thoughts, we should spam Eddie with our thoughts.
Myself first, right? Yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
Well, we're gonna send you our thoughts on what we thought changing.
Anything else, Dr. Simoda?
This is great. Thank you.
Okay. So, Eddie, are you still on this one?
That's it. Unless you have any other
Any
questions.
other comments or questions on this item? But Marilyn, you already made a note of what we'd like to do.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Hernandez, thank you on that one. We're moving now to the Public Utilities Board Consumer Advisory Panel updates. Ms. Vasquez?
Good evening, Chair Rendon, Mayor Cowan, and board members. My name is Eliza Vasquez. I have the honor of being the chair for PubCap. One of the new items that we implemented this year was presentation to the board to let you know what we've been up to. And so that's what I'm here to do today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So going to the March 15th meeting, Lady Casada gave an update on the Shower Days festivities that PUB participated in, and she announced that PUB Finance Department had received the Government Finance Officers Association Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. Jose Rodriguez conducted a presentation about meter loops. Clady Quesada conducted a presentation about PubCap and its history and purpose. Miguel Collis conducted a presentation about Project Share scholarships. And then one of the other things that we implemented this year, I've asked the other panel members that if we don't have public present, because we don't have public present at every meeting, that we reach out to our community and bring concerns, questions, comments, complaints from PUB customers. So I had two that month. One of them was someone asking why the electric bills were generally higher in the summer months. And Eddie Hernandez was available to explain that to us. And then another customer had a concern about power surges in the area of Altamira Street. April 19th meeting, Marie Leal provided an update on the ongoing construction work causing the lane closures on Boca Chica Boulevard. Ms. Monica Cavazos presented an update on the Tenasca Equity Funds. Rene Malascal provided an update on the drought conditions that the area has been experiencing. And we had someone from the Children's Bereavement Center come speak to us about the services that they provide. The May 17th meeting, Monica Cavazos presented with an update on the Tenasca Equity Funds. Luis Larraga reminded the public that the wastewater community tour was going to take place on May 19th. And in May, we had no public comments. June 21st meeting, Clady provided a brief update on the wastewater tour May 19th and announced that for the next 2 days, the motor systems at the drive-through would be replaced, resulting in 2 lanes at the time being closed. Ms. Elizabeth Walker gave a presentation on the BTX broadband fiber project. Jaime Estrada and Armando Garcia presented an update on the 14 strikes by contractors working on the BTX broadband fiber project. Brian Greenfeld presented the members with the residential hurricane emergency preparedness. And I brought 2 comments from customers. First one was from that lives over off of Viejo Boulevard off of 511. She and her neighbors have been complaining about sewer odors in their neighborhood and coming up from their restrooms. And then customer Joe Medrano thanked customer service department and Mr. Castrano for their assistance in helping him connect service for his commercial building. Marilyn Gilbert reminded everyone that with the current heat, we need to conserve energy by reducing consumption and that BPUB crews were doing good by staying hydrated in this heat. Moving on to the July 19th meeting. Please disregard the first item. That's an error. Mrs. Monica Cavazos presented an update on the Tenasca Equity Funds, and Miguel Collis presented members with an update of the BPUB service territory map, which is now live on the website. Jose Lechuga presented members with the 2023 Drinking Water Quality Report and had one comment from Ms. Cantu from the month before. She was very appreciative that BUP went out within a couple of days and were able to take care of the sewer odor that was happening in their neighborhood. We did have a visitor, Mr. Quantz, from the Brownsville Society of Performing Arts. He was there to take time to show his appreciation for the sponsorship of BPUB, and he shared with us some of the programs that have benefited from BPUB sponsorship. I am proud to say that Mr. Holman came to a couple of our meetings, so we're glad to see board member there. We invite you to come to any of the board meetings that we have. Any questions about anything?
Any questions for Ms. Vasquez?
Yeah, just one quick question on the addressing Ms. Cantu's concern on the odor. Was there an actual issue?
Well, it's my understanding that the crew went out there. There is a lift station right down the street, and so they went and cleaned it out. And so she said the next week she was out mowing her yard and they didn't have that odor anymore.
That's a good thing.
Yes.
That the odor went away.
Thank you so much for being here and for the time that you take to do all this. My question is, like, for example, with one of these complaints, Ms. Cantus, that you gave us an update on, what happened, but there was another one and for which there was no update. And I'm just wondering, like, what happens when a customer complains to your group or why do they complain? Is there not a process, that they can, just do that directly with BPUB or?
Yes, the meetings are open to the public, but sometimes we don't have them coming forward. Like the two that I brought, they didn't want to present in front of the board, so they asked me to bring it. So we try to get phone numbers, and usually the directors are in the audience and they'll connect with that customer to be able to work through that problem or to find a solution.
Okay. So, but you don't know if they're are they tracked? Maybe that's my question.
I'll go back and check on that particular one. But we tried to.
Thank you.
Hi, yes, Roxanne, Director of Customer Services. So during our PubCap, we do invite members of the community to come in and express any concerns that they have, anything that's happening in the community. Eliza has done a great job at bringing things forward. During this time, I have representation from BPUB departments in this meeting. So normally if somebody brings something up, we'll have somebody that can address it immediately and provide a resolution. And our PubCap liaison, which is Sadie Quesada, would normally provide an update at the next meeting, or any of the members that actually took that head on to resolve to provide an update to Ms. Quesada, will the remainder of the panel.
Thank you.
I think our follow-up question is, it would be interesting to know if these complaints were made before to PUB staff, or if this was the first time they were brought up. Just kind of to know if we're accidentally letting things fall between the cracks, or, if they decide that these are the meetings they want to voice, their complaints at, that's perfectly fine as well. I'm just curious.
In those two instances, they hadn't brought it up to
They had,
PUB.
okay, that's a good data point to know.
Thank you.
There's a mechanism in place that records or documents grievances, complaints from the public when they call in about a lift station not operating satisfactory. Do y'all record these?
We have a dispatch center and everything goes through a work order process and everything is documented. The complaints that come directly from me, we have a separate process in place and then we document it, through another process because those are not coming. Those are either some elected official or city official coming and reporting. So we have two different processes for the general public and we have dispatch work order process issued and closed and reported.
Okay.
Right, and the ones that I have seen and that I've been here, they're normally the customers that come in because they want to voice it to the town. And because they know, because we've been providing information to the public, but this is a great place for you to get everything addressed pretty much on the spot. Because we do have managers, directors, our executive management is present, members of our board. We have anybody, a lot of people that can help depending on the need. And if we have that available, we'll write that down, bring it back, and we'll get that resolved. We'll get the information back to the customer. But normally it's first time, I have not seen something where it's ongoing. Just like I haven't honestly seen something with the board either that has come in, that's been reported multiple times. But we will ask that question when somebody brings a concern and just to keep it documented if it's the first time and what could we streamline or make better in order for us to have repeat reports. I think it's an incident comes in customer.
We also get compliments of our staff and how well they're doing as well. So I don't want to think that this is the only, complaints on here. We actually get quite a bit of customers sometimes that come in and praise some of our staff that they've done a good job.
Thank you.
All right, just a finishing comment, Ms. Vasquez, we certainly appreciate your membership and your service to this very important board. I think the entire board here appreciates y'all's input and your time. We wish you nothing else, and we'd like to have more people coming into these meetings, obviously.
Absolutely. The marketing department has done a great job of putting it out there on social media, but I still run into people that do not know that there's PubCap and they can come to these
I
meetings.
did not know, which is part of why I'm asking this.
Really?
Like, I did not know that customers could go to your meetings and voice his complaints. Is this part of the new bill, perhaps? Is this information included?
Well, it's on our website, it's on the PUB website and the agendas are posted there too.
It could be on the.
Maybe that's
We
something
need
we,
to talk about that.
there you go. Eddie, get ready for more spam.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vasquez.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming and thank you for letting me show up at the board meeting. I appreciate it.
I do want to add one thing is that this is the change of the guard, I guess, and I say for the Consumer Advisory Panel. This Consumer Advisory Panel is a committee board and self-governed amongst themselves. We've recently updated the bylaws and one of the things was that the reports and she has presented before this board now twice and thank you so much for those updates. And so we do have our annual PubCap dinner that is coming and if you have an RSVP, please let us know and that's going to be held on August the 16th. And just to be able to tell the PubCap members, thank you for your dedication because this is done like you all without any type of compensation.
Joseph and I were going to check on the menu for that.
Yeah, I noticed you didn't socialize. No, this was the first event I did on the PUB board. So for me, it's very important that I'll be there. And I'm glad it's on the 16th because I actually have a trip to Boston right after that. So thank you.
So with that, we have our next item, which happens to be the drought update. And so we are starting our awareness campaign. I have been consulting with our mayor in reference to when to go into deploy into stage 2. So our awareness campaign just tell us where we are at. And there's several different things that Renee will go in a lot more detail. What it is. The good news time last year, we're much higher than what we were. And so that's one of the things, one of the reasons why stage 2 has not been initiated and where we're at going forward. And so if we'll be meeting probably weekly with the mayor to decide and then when is the trigger point, because there's not just one item that triggers the actual stage 2, but right now we want to make sure that everybody has this awareness. And this is the first of the public meetings that we have right now, but we've been already bombarding social media and other avenues for this.
Renee, just a quick question. Any rain in the forecast? I didn't answer that.
Next week?
I think next week.
Oh, I thought I saw 40%. That's great.
Thank you, Renee. We welcome your presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair, members of the board. Rene Mariscal, Division Manager with the Special Projects Waterways Water Engineering. So just to update here, last Thursday, we received the latest number. As of August with the, now at 24.9%. And as a matter of fact, it was last year, this week, where we hit the lowest value last year, reservoir combined storage of 20.7. So that's an indication, hopefully beginning next week, we start to see an increase. But it was last year about this time where we hit that lowest value that you see there. See in the yellow, 20.7. It occurred on August 13th. So we're at 24.9, and there's your outlook. Unfortunately, drought persists throughout a lot of the U.S., and drought development likely here in our area. Although, quite frankly, from a water supply standpoint, we're already, in drought. We had a meeting with the IBWC commissioner this past week.
Yes, we did.
And one of the challenges that we're facing is the deliveries from Mexico, the 1944 treaty. They have a 5-year cycle where they're so much water to us, 1.7 million acre feet. And as you can see there, they're short about 550,000 acre feet as of now, going into the third year. So that poses a bit of a challenge. One of the things that we asked is, one of the things she mentioned is because it's a 5-year cycle and we're barely in the third year, they don't have a lot of leverage. Mexico could literally deliver their full sum in year 5. So, but they are working with the Mexican staff as well to come up with what they have now is working on what's called a Minute 325. And they're hoping to have some sort of resolution, some guidance by the end of December and coming up with some solutions for some more reliable and predictable deliveries by Mexico. So as Marilyn indicated, we're ready for stage 2. From a prep work, here are the restrictions. Just a reminder, one of the triggers is when those levels reach 25. Other triggers include when our analysis of our water supply indicates that, we don't have enough water, like from our water rights, that's really not an issue. We have ample water rights. Another trigger would be if we have serious line breaks or, just a shortage of water supply, and we're fine from that standpoint. However, we have reached that 25% reservoirs, thus the discussions are underway for, initiating that. The restrictions, quick recap. A lot of this is already in stage 1 on a voluntary basis, but now we're moving. Once we kick in stage 2, we begin actual restrictions. No longer voluntary. So landscape irrigation, we're back to twice a week, depending on the service address. And then there are the others. Non-essential water use will be prohibited as well.
And Renee, just to confirm for the public, this also would apply to people that live on Resacas?
Yeah, absolutely. It applies. It's both residential, commercial, folks along the sides as well.
How about car washes? I know we've talked about that.
Yeah, for stage 2, you're able to use car washes. That's not restricted, at least not at this point.
When are those restricted? When does that kick in? I mean, with
The way our
which
plans are,
what-
yeah, and that's some discussion that we've been having we've been gathering some data for car washes, but at this point, the way our plan is set, we don't have that restriction. You're allowed to use car washes. But we are gathering some data on that. We have been for quite some time, quite frankly, and looking at some of the car washes, the quantity, and those that are reuse. There are a few of the car washes that are actually reused. We're still compiling some of that data.
So still compiling, but you've been doing it for a while. When would we see some information about that so we can start making decisions?
We're ready to move forward with, having meetings, perhaps meeting with city staff as well to look at city ordinances. But from our end, we're ready to move on forward to that next step.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing to do
Yeah.
as we get into this.
Yeah, and Renee, I'm sure everybody's realized or seen that car washes are popping up left and right. I'm sure there's some mechanism in place for recycling that water, so we don't just lose it into the sewer system. I don't want to get into this topic, but that's maybe something we might bring up at a later date.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just to give you an example of just some of the just summary data, we're looking at, there's approximately about 31 active car washes now. Of those 31, based on the information that we have, about 6 of them are reused water. But I know, we know there's some new car washes popping up, so we'll make sure to gather the most recent data.
Okay, that would be great to sit there and discuss with the city because, yeah, is there something we can do to talk about incentivizing the reuse of water? I mean, as we increase the number of car washes, we increase the pressure on our entire system. So,
So moving forward for the stage 2 communication, a lot of this work is essentially ready. The press release ready to be rolled out whenever the decision is made to move forward. Same thing with the, Brownsville Herald ad. There has been an increase in social media where we provide the updated water reservoir levels. Door hangers ready.
Up in the Resaca or
Once we
expected water levels, which I
you have the sockets that are, have that capacity, get some of the evaporation, it's going to be a lot more noticeable in some versus others. One that's really shallow, a lot more evaporation, you may start seeing that sediment. So it varies from the socket to the socket, but that's definitely a contributor. In addition to the fact that we use surplus water to feed into the recyclers, and the less surplus water that's available to us, the less we're able to provide water to the recyclers. So it's a combination of factors. The availability of the water being one of them, the segment of Resaca, how shallow it is, how much water is in it to begin with. So number of factors but yeah, definitely, typically in the summer, for the most part, they're going to be a little lower than usual. And considering that temperatures right now, some of them are a little lower than others.
Renee, just to confirm, in anticipation for potential stage 2 rollout, have you been working with the city communications and marketing staff to work on a marketing plan on this?
I know there have been some.
I know that there has been several meetings, and I'll have Ryan Greenfield come over and talk about the city communications plans. And part of the communication plan is also, we have it on the city commission agenda. So Ryan, go ahead and talk about those things.
Ryan Greenfield, I'm the communications and PR manager. We have had a couple of meetings already with city staff And we'll be continuing to communicate with them, especially as things get closer to potentially having to call stage 2. Anything that we have, we would also share with them so that they can also relay that to any their followers or anyone who uses their social media.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So if you want to hear more about Renee's presentation and hear it all over again, I tune into the city commission meeting tomorrow and you'll get to hear this presentation all over again.
One last question. This is, you probably said this is voluntary, right? Or,
Stage 1 is a voluntary stage. That's where we're in now. Once we implement stage 2, then there are literally restrictions at that point.
so for example, like non-essential water use prohibited. But like, what does that mean? Like, are there any teeth to this is what I'm asking? Like, how do you enforce it?
Yes, yeah, good question. On the enforcement side, it's stage 2, what we do, PUB staff would issue warnings. And that's what you saw some of those door flyers. So we have staff that are literally monitoring that. So we have stage 2 issue warning, and as you get into the later stages, and we're still looking at and working with the city on that, then you could get into warnings and citations.
Okay, so stage 3 would be
Stage
for
3.
penalties.
I'm sorry?
Penalties in stage 3, is that what?
So yeah,
you're saying?
stage 2 has no teeth, if we want to use, actually, I kind of like that. No teeth. Stage 3 is where we start fighting.
Got it.
Yeah, we can
Thank
start
you.
getting citation.
Renee, just to clarify, the enforcement of this is through monitoring water consumption here at PUB or?
Let me add something like that. The enforcement is the city of Brownsville. PUB has a 2006 adopted ordinance that has been updated throughout the years, and every time there's a new plan, it gets updated. PUB is the implementer, and so all of the enforcement of this comes from the city of Brownsville for the code enforcement. PUB does not have that authority.
Okay. Good to know. Any other comments on this topic before we move on? Renee, anything else? Okay, thank you for that presentation. All right, Ms. Gilbert, we'll move on to item number 2.
So item number 2 is actually will be parked for right now. We need to now take the consent agenda item that was pulled, which is item number 5, and I'm going to have Ms. Marie Leal come up to answer any questions to the board, and then we'll need to take a vote for item number 5 after she's done answering the questions.
Marilyn, before we proceed, we do have, the next item is public comments.
I'm sorry.
There are no
Public comments, was there any public comments?
no public comment.
Well, okay. Thank
And
you
Marie,
for that.
you can come back.
Thank you. Mike, we appreciate you jumping in and clarifying the order. Thank you. Ms. Leah.
Yes.
Ms. Leah.
Good afternoon. My name is Marie Leal, and I am the Director of Special Projects and Water Wastewater Engineering and Planning. Mine is consideration and possible action of bid award for sanitary sewer improvements for the Cannery Public Market Project, B039-23. The city of Brownsville is in the process of improving the existing utilities to accommodate the proposed Cannery Public Market building. The sanitary sewer improvements for the Cannery Public Market project will consist of the installation of approximately 440 linear feet of 6-inch and 250 linear feet of 8-inch diameter sanitary sewer lines. The city of Brownsville has agreed to pay for both the engineering and the construction costs associated with this project. And PUB solicited competitive sealed bid proposals. On May 22nd, the BPB Purchasing Department opened proposals for the sanitary sewer improvements for the Cannery Public Market project. The invitation was advertised in the Brownsville Herald on June 25th and July 2nd, 2023, posted on page 4 plan rooms, and 15 vendors were contacted. We had 3 contractors respond. 2LG Construction, Connect Construction, and Jimmy Klosner and Sons. The overall qualified low bidder for the contract was Connect Construction with a total base bid of $248,658.85.
BPB staff recommends board approval for the bid award for the sanitary sewer improvements for the Cannery Public Market Project to the qualified low bidder, Connect Construction, Inc. of San Benito, Texas, for a total amount not to exceed $248,658.85.
Thank you, Ms. Leal. My question here is about the why, or how we are involved in this project.
Well, the reason that we're involved in this project is that the city, for the both of our services, wastewater and water services. The site where they're doing the proposed farmers market building used to be an old Sombrero Festival, I believe, storage / offices. And they had a very small and very shallow sanitary sewer connection. So in order for them to have adequate sanitary sewer connections for this new proposed building, they needed a deeper line. And it doesn't exist right now along Ringgold, right outside of their proposed building. And it needed to be constructed along Ringgold, between where you have the art museum, to give you an idea, and where the old Sombrero or current Sombrero Fest storage. From there, it run new line out to 7th Street. So that's the approximately 600 and some feet that we need to get to the deeper sewer. And it was not, it's not in our CIP. We didn't need it. Basically, we're taking them like a developer. The developer needs it. It's at the developer's cost. And that is how we are involved, but the city is paying for it. It's going to become
That is important. The city is paying for it.
That's it.
Right, and they're paying for your time too?
Not the PUB time, and the time that we've put into it is the advertisement, basically. And they have paid for the design and the construction. And they're also setting aside, I believe, $25,000 for contingency in case there's any changes that come about during the construction.
Oh. And so I'm still trying to understand so you would not do this for a private enterprise, right? So this is something that you're doing to help the city in a project that, like that.
Yes and no. During a regular, a typical subdivision project, the developers pay for everything. However, since it's going to become a PUB line when they turn it over to us, we always provide inspection services for developments.
I see. So this is something that you're doing that you would normally do for any
correct.
building like
That
this?
is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Marie, just real quick, this is a common occurrence when we have a collaboration with the city or with Cameron County on a project.
They don't come about that often. I think in 7.5 years that I've been here, the first time. But this is a rather very small project, 600 linear feet of line. I mean, it's half a block's length from Ringgold to tie it into 7th Street. We did have preliminary drawings in the records here at engineering, and the city decided to pay for an engineering firm that they currently have on board to go ahead and sign and seal the plans for the small line.
Okay.
So, Ms. Leal, I got a question. So who's paying for this? The city?
Yes,
Okay, why are we having to approve this?
because we advertised and we received the bids through our purchasing department.
Okay,
And we will be doing the inspection of it because it's along a public street. So it will become our line.
okay, so.
Once the
we're basically just
contractor-
Helping.
Excuse me?
We're basically helping taking the bid.
Yes, sir.
That's about it.
The bid, inspecting it, and then accepting it as part of our system.
So we are actually getting a benefit by improving our infrastructure
in that very specific area.
Yes, sir. For half a block of Ringgold, now we will have a public adequate built to PUB standards, sanitary sewer line.
If I may, just for clarity, we will be upfronting the money. So we'll be paying for the services and then billing the city for reimbursement.
Well, we're confident that the cities will work closely with us. Okay, anything else, Dr. Summerall? Thank you, Ms. Leal. You have the next?
Oh,
Now we need a vote.
Move to approve these.
Say, so we have we have a motion to
second it.
approve. We have a motion, we have a second by Dr. Holman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hey, all those opposed, say nay. The motion on this item that was in consent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Gilbert, we're moving on to item number 2 now.
Yes.
Mr.
And Mr. Santillan is going to,
Santillan.
he's going to be reading the subject line for item number 2.
It's a discussion on the quarterly investment activity report for period ending June 30, 2023, pursuant to chapter 2256.023 of the Public Funds Investment Act. Mr. Jorge Santillan.
Good evening, Chair and members of the board. My name is Jorge Santillan, Treasury and Accounting Manager. As required by Chapter 2256, Section 023 of the Public Funds Investment Act, we present the June 30th quarterly investment report. There's no action required on this agenda. We're going to look at the presentation in your packet. The total market portfolio market value at the end of the quarter was 194.7 million. The asset allocation was as follows, going clockwise. Use treasury notes and bills, 23%, certificates of deposit, 2%, bank deposits, 4%, investment pools, 71%. Some statistics, the weighted yield to maturity at the end of the quarter, 5.14%. The previous quarter, it was 4.80%. The weighted average maturity, 45 days. At the previous quarter, it was 24 days. In this page, we have the yield summary by investment type. Looking at the first column, the first section, we have the U.S. Treasury notes and bills with a market value shown in the middle column of 45,906,007. The yield to maturity shown in the last column, ranging from 4.92% to 5.31%. Next, we have the bank deposits with a market value of 6,186,993, the yield to maturity of 1.65 and 4.95%. Then we have the investment pools with a market value of 138,277,671, the yield to maturity shown on the last column, ranging from 5.07% to 5.30%. Then we have the certificates of deposit with a market value of 4,301,000 with a yield to maturity of 5.20% to 5.30%. The total portfolio market value shown on the bottom, it's 194,671,761 with a yield to maturity of 5.14%. This graph shows the net yield comparison historical performance for the last 8 quarters. At the end of June, our net yield was 5.14%, or 4 basis points higher than the S&P pool index, and 7 basis points higher than the 91-day T-bill benchmark. Again, there's no action on this item. Any questions?
Thank you.
Yes, there is a representative who's coming up. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of our board. My name is Mita Vasquez, and I'm the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Coordinator. This is a no action item, and what I'll be reviewing with you today is going to be, oops, I'm sorry. There we go. I found myself. Thank you. What I'll be reviewing with you today is our Go Green Rebate Program. I'll cover program utilization and program updates, as well as close with important key links and contact information. The Go Green Rebate Program is a residential and commercial program that incentivizes BPUB electric and water customers for their energy efficiency and conservation efforts. These programs are extremely important to our customers and to BPUB. Energy efficiency saves money, it increases the resilience and reliability of the electric grid, and it provides environmental benefits. Here's a list of our Go Green Rebate programs. Residential for HVAC, duct replacement, Energy Star windows, attic insulation, solar screens and film, windows and wall-mounted AC, and high-efficiency toilets. For commercial space, we have HVAC, Energy Star windows, solar screens and film, air-cooled water chillers, a lighting retrofit rebate, high-efficiency toilets. And for multifamily, we have HVAC, windows, and high-efficiency toilets. Here's our program utilization year-to-date fiscal year 2023. We've processed 419 rebate applications, paid out $153,376 for residential programs. So you can see our HVAC program is the most utilized program. We've processed 188 applications, accounting for about 60% of the total payout. For commercial, we've paid out $24,337 with 50 cents. We've processed 6 applications, and our lighting retrofit consists of 78% of that total. Program updates. We are currently in the process of automating and streamlining our procedures. We have listened to our customer requests and feedbacks, and in our efforts to streamline our processes, we hope to reduce processing time and provide more visibility as our customers are applying for these rebates. We're also conducting quarterly website reviews and market research. For community outreach, we have a strong social media presence. We're doing bill inserts. We're also partnering with the City of Brownsville, Chamber of Commerce, and retail stores. Here are important key links and contact information. Our customers can find our applications on our website at brownsville-pub.com/gogreen. Once they're ready to process their application and submit their documents, they can utilize our Go Green email address at gogreenrebate@brownsville-pub.com. We'll also have our applications on our main lobby at 1425 Robin Hood Drive. Again, I am the department main point of contact. My name is Mita Vasquez, and I've provided my contact information presentation. This is a no action item, and are there any questions?
I do have a question. On the commercial, you're basically only 6 people or 6 businesses apply for that?
So far, 6
Really?
applications have been gone through the process. We currently have 3 that we're currently working with, so we're hoping to get those through. We recently uploaded our commercial rebate applications to our website, so we hope that we can get more outreach with those rebate applications. And again, we're partnering with the chamber to see if we can let our customers know that these are available.
Perfect. Thank you, Mita.
Go back that slide with the what happens if you have a flood of
The total budget?
if you have what they, basically commercial applicants to find them all on the rich sales bill. That funding is coming from.
So we do have approximately 320,000 on the budget, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody. And we look at our applications, the maximum, of course, if a commercial customer can get is 50,000. So it will take up a lot of our, our budget. But we're looking at maybe if we need be, then we can move from one fund to the other.
Well, it really depends. I mean, they can come back and request some additional funding, and we can certainly accommodate that. From base rates to the general revenue.
So Some utilities use other type of, general funding mechanisms at a percentage, but us is just the general rates that the previous boards have allocated and continue on with the tradition of the amount. Depending on what we have is every year the budget is set, and so we have not seen, my understanding, anything. So have we budgeted, it's been exhausted? No.
No.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, action item number 4. So
Action
when-
item number 4 is a consideration and possible action to authorize the general manager and chief executive officer to negotiate and execute professional consulting and technical service contracts for the new 56 MVA distribution Ocelot substation and the Palo Alto substation power transformer addition.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Cesar Cortinas. So as a result of a load projection studies for the Northwest Brownsville area, the 2020 BPUB long-range plan recommended one major electric substation project and upgrades to the BPUB electrical system. The increased capacity and reliability feature of this project will provide stable and reliable electrical service to the existing and near future loads coming online over the next several years. The addition of the new 56 MVA distribution Ocelot substation and the second 20 MVA power transformer at the Palo Alto substation will require professional engineering, project management, and technical services. As usual, BPUB Purchasing Department advertised requests for qualifications in the Brownsville Herald on June 18 and 25, 2023, posted on BPUB website and emailed to 9 vendors with 2 vendors responding. Each statement of qualifications was reviewed and ranked by the BPUB staff and based on the background, availability, experience, understanding of the projects, etc. It is important to consider that it's advantageous for the BPUB to select 2 engineering firms working simultaneously on both projects. Has a greater probability in design completion as they have dedicated staff to manage each project. At the opinion of the board of directors, respondents are prepared to provide a 5-minute presentation with additional 5-minute questions and answers. So at this point, I open up for questions. So the board decides to go ahead and do presentations. We have staff from both vendors, electric consultants, engineering, and Elliott and Gaynor.
So at this time, we are prepared to provide the vendor, presentations, or since both of them are being awarded because of staff's recommendation to expedite more capital improvement projects, then if so moved, that we can take a motion in a second, if that's the board's wishes, and we can proceed without the presentations. They've already been ranked by staff, and they are both qualified vendors and both.
No, there's 2 different projects, one new substation and the second addition. So the top rank vendor gets the bigger, and the second one will get the next one. I'll read the recommendation. BPUB staff recommends approval to authorize the general manager and the chief executive officer to negotiate and execute a professional consultant and technical service contract with Elliott and Gaynor LLC of Amarillo, Texas, for the new 56 MVA distribution Ocelot substation and Electrical Consultants Inc. of Austin, Texas, for the addition of the second power transformer at Palo Alto substation.
I move to go ahead and approve.
Aye.
Thank you.
At this time, yes.
I move into closed session. Second.
Aye.
Let me read the closed session items.
Yeah, the items need to be read in open.
At this time, the items on the agenda designated for closed meeting will be considered. If there is an approved motion to go into closed meeting, the listeners will be placed on hold until the board returns to open meeting. Item number 1, meeting with board's legal counsel for advice about contemplated and pending court litigation and on matters in which the duty of the attorney under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct conflicts with Chapter 551, Section 551.071. Item number 2, discussion and consultation with board counsel of any pending litigation against Brownsville Public Utilities Board, Section 551.071. Item number 3 is consideration and possible action on the request for qualifications for federal legislative and consulting services, Section 551.074 and 551.071. Item number 4 is presentation and discussion related to the large-scale business development opportunities pursuant to Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, under Section 551.087, Section 551.086, and Section 551.071. And item number 5 is presentation, discussion, and possible recommendation of information upon pricing of purchased power, generation, and fuel, and their impact upon the fuel, energy, and marketing charge, and possible discussion under Section 551.086.
Okay, those are the items that have been read for closed session. Let's do it one more time, a motion.
I'm going to move to go in closed session one more time.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against say nay. This motion passes. We'll be moving into closed session. Thank you.
Go there on that.
Norma, we're back at 6:59. We're back from a closed meeting. We have consideration action on any closed meeting items.
Mr. Chairman, on item 1 from the closed meeting agenda, a motion is required to authorize the proposed settlement in cause number 2014-CCL-00700, City of Brownsville versus 85 Jacaranda Limited Partnership, pursuant to the terms discussed with legal counsel in the closed meeting.
Good, we have a.
I make a
read the motion. We have you make the motion by Dr. Zamora, a second?
Second?
Second by Mr. Martinez. All those in favor of this motion, say aye.
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 Against, nay. This motion passes. Thank you. I hope you're here next time. Walk us through this. All right. Discussion and or request for future agenda items. Any topics or concerns by any board member? Mayor, anything that you like to add for the next meeting? Okay. That being said, a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn. Second?
Second by Mr. Martinez. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
And those against? Motion. Motion passes. Thank you. We'll see you. Yeah. I thought it was gonna have. I'm glad.